He's possessive, dangerous, and obsessed with a child that isn't even his. But I'm only the alpha's maid. I was never meant to be seen, just another servant in the alpha's mansion. But his eyes followed me everywhere. His touch lingered too long. And his rage burned whenever another man came close, even though the child I protect isn't his, or is it? A story of forbidden love, hidden power, and a bond deeper than blood. One secret could destroy everything the pack stands for. Don't miss this emotional alpha romance, filled with passion, pain, and fate's cruel twist. When people in the Silver Claw pack whisper about me, they don't call me by my name anymore. They just say, the alpha's maid. As if that's all I'll ever be. But what they don't know is that the alpha watches me. Every move I make. Every breath I take. Every tear that dares fall from my eyes. And what's even stranger? He's possessive of me, and of the child that isn't even his. It started the day he found me crying behind the laundry hut, clutching my swollen belly, my apron soaked in both soap and shame. I was nothing but a servant, an orphan girl brought into the alpha's house to scrub floors and polish boots. But that day, he looked at me differently. Not with disgust, but with something deeper. Something dangerous. The kind of look that could burn the skin if you hold his gaze too long. Since then, everything changed. I couldn't walk through the pack house without feeling his eyes on me. I couldn't go near another male wolf without his shadow falling over us. It's like he claimed me, silently, without words, without permission. Even when the other maids mocked me behind my back, whispering that I had bewitched him, I stayed quiet. Because I didn't understand it either. Why would the most powerful alpha in the region, known for his ruthless strength and cold heart, care about a maid with a child that wasn't his? But he did. When I slipped and fell in the kitchen, it was he who caught me before my head hit the floor. When the other servants laughed at the sight of my growing belly, it was he who silenced them with one deadly glare. The pack didn't understand, and honestly, neither did I. He was unpredictable, one moment silent and distant, the next, strangely protective. Some nights, when the mansion grew quiet, I would hear his footsteps outside my small servant room. Just standing there. Not knocking. Not speaking. Just listening. At first, I thought it was my imagination. But then I'd catch a faint scent of cedar and musk, the alpha's scent, and my heart would start racing uncontrollably. Was it fear? Or something else I refused to name? The truth is, I didn't want him to care. Because the child in my womb belonged to someone else. Someone who abandoned me the moment he discovered I was pregnant. A lowly Omega guard. He had promised me love but left me with nothing but this belly and broken pride. So why should the alpha, so high, so mighty, care about me or the child I carry? But the strangest part came the day he ordered that no one should touch me. No one. He said it in front of everyone. Even the beta. His voice was calm but filled with a threat that made the entire hall go silent. From that day, the maids avoided me like I carried a curse. Some said I used dark magic to seduce him. Others whispered that the alpha had gone mad. Maybe they were right. Because every time I looked into his eyes, I saw something unspoken, like he was hiding a truth I wasn't ready to know. And every night, he would send food to my room, personally prepared by the royal chef. For a maid. He didn't even do that for the Luna before she died. Sometimes I'd stare at the food, too afraid to eat, wondering if this was kindness or a trap. Because in the alpha's world, kindness often comes with chains. But still, part of me, a foolish, lonely part, began to crave his attention. His presence. His warmth. And that scared me more than anything. Because I knew the truth. When the alpha becomes possessive, it's never out of love. It's out of something darker. Something that could destroy us both. The night the thunder roared above the Silverclaw mansion, I felt it again, that heavy presence outside my room. It wasn't imagination this time. The handle turned slightly, then stopped. A pause. A low exhale, deep and rough, like someone battling an unseen storm within. I held my breath. My heart thumped so loud, I feared he could hear it through the door. But then, silence. Just his scent, cedar, smoke, and something wild, lingering in the air. The next morning, he summoned me. No one ever got summoned to the Alpha's study except his beta or the warriors. So when the guard said, "The Alpha wants to see you," the entire Maid's quarters went still. I could feel their eyes following me as I climbed the stairs, some filled with envy, others with pity. The hallway smelled of fresh rain and pine wood, and the sound of my bare feet echoed softly on the polished floor. When I reached his door, I hesitated. My hands trembled. Why me? Why now? The Alpha's deep voice broke the silence from inside. "Come in." Even without seeing him, his tone sent a strange chill down my spine. He was sitting behind his desk, shirt half unbuttoned, eyes shadowed, like he hadn't slept in days. He looked up slowly, and in that single look, I saw it again, that possessiveness. The kind that made you forget to breathe. His gaze dropped to my belly, and something flickered in his eyes. A mix of pain and protectiveness. He finally spoke. "You shouldn't be cleaning in your condition." His words were simple, but his voice carried an edge, like a warning. I wanted to tell him I had to. That the maids had already been whispering that I was lazy, that I was using my pregnancy as an excuse to avoid chores. But when I opened my mouth, no sound came out. He rose from his chair, tall and broad, the faint glow of dawn highlighting the scar across his neck, the one from the war 5 years ago. He walked toward me slowly, like a predator cornering his prey. And then, softly, he said something I didn't expect. "Who hurt you?" The words were heavy. Not a question, but a demand for truth. My throat tightened. I looked down, clutching my apron. But his voice deepened. I said, "Who hurt you, Maid?" The Alpha never called anyone by their name unless they meant something to him. So hearing "Maid" from his lips stung worse than a slap. I whispered, "It doesn't matter, Alpha." He stepped closer. "It does." For a moment, the air between us felt charged, almost suffocating. He stared at me like he wanted to burn away the shame I carried. Then, unexpectedly, he turned his back to me. "You'll move out of the servants' quarters," he said coldly. "From now on, you stay in the East Wing. No one touches you. No one speaks ill of you. Anyone who disobeys, answers to me." I froze. The East Wing was reserved for the Alpha's family. My mouth went dry. But Alpha, that's... He didn't let me finish. "Do not argue." That was the end of the conversation. He dismissed me without another glance. But as I walked away, I could feel it, his eyes on my back, following me down the hall like invisible hands. That night, as I lay in the soft bed of the East Wing, I stared at the ceiling and asked myself the question that haunted me most. Why was he doing this? Why would a powerful Alpha protect a maid and a child that carried another man's scent? Unless the truth was darker than I could ever imagine. Because in the silence of that mansion, I began to suspect something terrible. That the Alpha knew more about my past than he was letting on. And if I was right, then my child's father wasn't the only one hiding secrets. The next morning, the entire pack was buzzing with gossip. "The maid moved into the East Wing," one said. "She must be carrying the Alpha's pup," another whispered. Laughter. Jealousy. Venom. I heard them all as I carried the laundry basket past the kitchen. Every word cut deeper than the last, but I kept walking. I was used to pain, what I wasn't used to was comfort. The East Wing felt like another world, quiet, warm, and too soft for a girl like me. The sheets smelled of wild lavender, the curtains shimmered with silver embroidery, and there was even a small fire burning in the hearth. All this, for a maid. No one dared to ask why. Not after the alpha's warning. Still, I couldn't sleep. Every creak in the floorboards made me jump. Every gust of wind against the window made me think he was standing outside again, watching, guarding, maybe even listening. And in a strange way, I didn't know whether to feel safe, or trapped. That morning, the beta's mate came to my room. Lady Irina. Tall, proud, and elegant, her presence alone could silence a room. She looked around my quarters with raised brows before turning to me. So it's true. The alpha has moved his maid into the east wing. I bowed quickly. It wasn't my decision, my lady. Her lips curled. Oh, I'm sure it wasn't. But tell me, what is your secret? Witchcraft? A love potion? Or is it just your tears? Her words were sharp enough to draw blood. But before I could reply, her tone softened, almost pitying. You're playing with fire, girl. And fire doesn't care who it burns. Then she left. That night, I sat by the fire, hands pressed to my belly, whispering to my unborn child. I don't know what's happening, little one, I said softly, but I promise. I'll keep you safe. But safety was a fragile thing in the alpha's world. Because later that same night, I woke up to a noise outside my door, a low growl. Not human. Not gentle. I froze. The scent of blood drifted in. Before I could even move, the door burst open, and a warrior fell to the floor, throat slashed, eyes wide open. And behind him, the alpha. His hands were stained red, his chest heaving, his eyes glowing gold under the moonlight. I couldn't speak. I just stared. He wiped the blood on his sleeve, stepped forward, and growled, he tried to hurt you. My body trembled. What? Why would anyone? He was sent, the alpha said through clenched teeth. Someone in this pack wants you gone. Gone. Not fired. Not banished. Gone. The word made my skin crawl. He stepped closer and placed a hand on my arm. His touch was warm but trembling, like he was fighting to control something inside him. You will not leave this room without my permission, he said. From now on, you don't serve anyone. You belong under my protection. I wanted to scream, to tell him I wasn't his. But the words got stuck behind my fear. Because I realized something in his eyes that night. It wasn't just possessiveness. It was guilt. The kind of guilt that eats you alive. And suddenly, I remembered something from years ago. A night of fire and screams. A raid that destroyed my old village. A tall warrior with eyes that glowed like gold. A mark, yes, a wolf mark, on his arm. My blood ran cold. Because that same mark was now on the alpha's hand. And in that moment, the truth began to whisper at the edge of my mind. What if the man who destroyed everything I loved was the same man now protecting me and my child? Sleep avoided me that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw blood, his hands, that warrior's body, and the burning mark on the alpha's wrist that wouldn't leave my mind. That mark. That cursed mark. It was the same one I had seen when I was a child, the night my entire village went up in flames. I was barely 9. I still remember the smell of smoke choking the sky, the screams of my mother as she shoved me into a wooden crate and whispered, "Don't make a sound, Era, no matter what happens." And through a crack in the wood, I saw him. A tall warrior with eyes that glowed like molten gold and a scar on his neck, the same scar the alpha bore now. That night, I swore I'd never forget that face. The face of the man who took everything from me. So why was he now the one protecting me? Why did his touch feel like both danger and safety all at once? The next morning, I sat by the window of the east wing, staring into the mist-covered forest, my thoughts spinning like a storm. The pack house below buzzed with routine, warriors training, maids rushing, children laughing. To them, life was normal. But mine had just turned into a twisted riddle. I didn't hear him enter until his reflection appeared behind me in the glass. The Alpha. Why didn't you eat? His voice was rough, but not cold. I turned, keeping my eyes down. I wasn't hungry. He stepped closer, his scent, cedar and fire, wrapping around me like an invisible chain. You need your strength, he said. For you. For the child. That word again. Child. The way he said it, so firm, so personal, made my chest tighten. My lips trembled. Why do you care so much, Alpha? It's not your child. Silence. Thick, heavy, unbreathing silence. He stared at me for a long moment, his jaw tightening. Then he said quietly, maybe not by blood, but by fate. I froze. What do you mean? He turned away, running a hand through his hair as if wrestling with words too heavy to speak. You wouldn't understand, he muttered. That answer only lit the fire of suspicion in my heart. Then make me understand. I said before realizing I'd raised my voice to an alpha. My hands flew to my mouth, but it was too late. He turned sharply, eyes glowing faintly gold again, not with anger, but pain. You wouldn't believe me even if I told you. The room went quiet again, except for the sound of my heartbeat echoing in my ears. Then, without warning, he reached into his pocket and placed something on the table. A small pendant. Silver. Burnt around the edges. My breath caught. I knew that pendant. It was my mother's. I'd thought it was lost in the fire. I looked up at him, trembling. Where did you get this? He didn't answer. His jaw flexed, his eyes flickering with regret. Tell me. I screamed, tears spilling. Where did you find this? Finally, he said it. I didn't find it, Era. I took it, the night your village burned. My knees almost gave way. His voice broke then, the first time I'd ever heard his strength crack. I didn't know, Era. I didn't know the elder's daughter survived. I thought everyone was gone. I stared at him, heart pounding, the truth cutting deep. He wasn't just my alpha. He was the man who killed my past. And now, he was the one trying to protect what little future I had left. My tears fell silently as he turned away, his shoulders tense with guilt. That night, as I held my mother's pendant close, I realized something painful yet true. The same man who destroyed my world, was the only one keeping me alive. The world felt heavier after that night. Every breath I took inside the Alpha's mansion tasted like smoke and old memories. I couldn't look at him the same anymore. How could I? He had destroyed everything, my home, my family, my past. And yet, every time I saw him, a part of me still ached for the warmth in his eyes when he looked at me. That was the worst part. Loving the one person I was supposed to hate. For days, I avoided him. I refused the meals he sent. I stayed locked inside the east wing, counting the cracks on the ceiling, listening to the whispers of my unborn child's heartbeat. But guilt has a strange way of finding you, even when you run. One evening, as the moon climbed high, the door creaked open. He walked in silently, his expression unreadable, his presence heavy enough to steal my breath. I stood, trembling, clutching my mother's pendant. Why? I asked, my voice shaking. Why did you do it? Why burn my village? Why kill them? He closed his eyes briefly, as though the question itself wounded him. When he finally spoke, his voice broke. It wasn't supposed to happen that way, he said softly. The council ordered an attack. They told me your people were traitors, dealing with rogues, selling secrets. I led my warriors to protect the pack. He swallowed hard, his eyes glimmering with regret. But when I arrived, it was too late. The fire had already spread. My beta disobeyed orders. He slaughtered everyone, including the children. I killed him that same night. My lips parted in shock. The beta? He nodded slowly. He was your child's father's brother. I staggered backward. The room tilted. Everything connected in one painful flash, the betrayal, the disappearance, the guilt in his eyes every time he looked at me. He continued, his tone raw. When I found you months later, you were half dead on the border. You didn't recognize me, and I didn't have the courage to tell you who I was. I thought keeping you close would make up for what I'd done. His voice cracked. I thought protecting you would silence my guilt. Tears streamed down my cheeks. I wanted to scream, to curse him, to make him feel every piece of what I'd lost. But when I looked at him, really looked, I saw a man already broken by the weight of his own sins. He took a step closer, eyes filled with pain. I can't undo the past, Era. But let me protect you and the child. I owe you that much. I whispered bitterly, you owe me more than protection, Alpha. I know, he said, bowing his head. But if fate is cruel enough to tie us together, then maybe forgiveness can break the curse. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Only the crackle of the fire between us. Then, I felt the baby kick, strong, steady. A reminder that life moves forward, even when hearts don't. I placed a hand on my belly, took a trembling breath, and whispered, then protect us, not because you owe me, but because it's the right thing to do. His eyes softened, glowing faintly gold. And for the first time, he knelt, not as an alpha, not as a warrior, but as a man who finally understood the weight of his actions. I swear it, Era, he said quietly. On my life and my wolf's soul. The fire flickered brighter then, casting our shadows on the wall, two broken souls bound by pain, loss, and an unexpected mercy. Maybe love doesn't always look like a fairy tale. Sometimes it's born in ashes. Sometimes it grows from guilt and forgiveness, like fragile flowers breaking through burned ground. And as dawn painted the world in soft gold, I realized something simple but true. You don't heal by forgetting who hurt you. You heal by choosing peace when revenge could have been easier. So, I forgave him. Not for him. But for me. For the child. For the life waiting beyond the pain. Moral of the story. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past, it frees you from it. Because sometimes, the people who once broke your heart are the same ones destiny uses to rebuild it stronger than before. The end. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to tell us in the comments section the country you are watching from. Thanks for watching.